We've all heard that same old weight loss advice 1,000 times, right? But what if the whole rule book is just wrong? Today, we're going to dig into a totally different way to think about weight management, and we're going to go searching for that missing piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so does this sound familiar to you? You are doing everything right. I mean, you're tracking your food, you're exercising, you're sticking to the plan, but that number on the scale, it just will not budge. It's such a common and honestly super frustrating place to be.
So let's just get this out of the way right now. If you are struggling with this, it is not a failure of willpower. I'm going to say that again. The problem is not you. The problem is the one-size-fits-all rulebook we've all been handed.
All right, so let's frame this as a puzzle, because really, for so many of us, it feels exactly like that. Like there's a huge piece missing right out of the box.
And this is that loop, right? The one that is just so maddening. You put in all this effort. Maybe you see a tiny bit of progress, and then, boom, nothing. The scale just freezes. It feels like you've slammed into a brick wall, and it doesn't matter what else you try.
So how do we actually solve this thing? Well, it all starts by looking past the most obvious, and honestly, often the most misleading piece of information we have, that number on the scale.
And this quote from registered dietitian Pamela Singer, it just nails it. She says, real progress happens when you build a plan that works with your body's physiology, not just based on a number. It's not about finding some magic formula, it's about making a plan that works with you, not against you.
Think about it like this. You've got what's happening on the surface, the stuff we all see and talk about, like body weight and BMI. But then there's what's going on under the hood, and that's where the real story is. We're talking about things like your fasting insulin, how your body manages blood sugar, inflammation. These are the things that tell you what's truly going on with your metabolic health.
And this is exactly why chasing that number on the scale can be so misleading. You can totally have a healthy BMI or a healthy weight and still have some serious metabolic stuff brewing just under the surface. The scale just can't tell you the whole story. It's impossible.
Okay, so now let's get into some of the really sneaky factors. We're going to talk about stress and sleep and how they connect directly to one of the most powerful hormones in your entire body, insulin.
So what exactly is insulin resistance? Well, think of it this way. Insulin is like a key. Its job is to unlock your cells to let sugar, glucose, in for energy. But with insulin resistance, it's like the locks on your cells get all rusty. They start ignoring the key. And what's really important to know is that special tests can catch this happening years before it would ever pop up as prediabetes on a regular lab test.
And check out this chain reaction. It's so clear. It all starts with chronic stress or not getting enough sleep. That makes your body pump out the stress hormone, cortisol. Then that cortisol messes with your insulin sensitivity. And what happens then? Well, that's a direct signal for your body to start storing fat, especially right around your belly. It's a clear, step-by-step biological process.
So you might be wondering, how fast can this actually happen? Get ready for this because this number is pretty shocking.
Yep, just one single night of not getting enough sleep can be enough to cause measurable insulin resistance, even in people who are perfectly healthy. We're not talking about weeks or months of bad habits here. The impact on your metabolism is almost instant.
So, all of this leads us right to the big one. We have got to rethink the biggest rule in the book, the whole calorie equation.
The old way of thinking was just simple math, right? Calories in versus calories out. But the new model, the one that's way more accurate, sees food completely differently. It sees food as a set of instructions or hormonal signals that create a really complex biological reaction in your body.
And Pamela Singer says it perfectly again. Food is information. Think about that. It means you could have 2 meals with the exact same number of calories, but they can send totally different signals to your hormones, and that leads to completely different results inside your body.
So just how different can these responses be? Well, there was this incredible study from the Weizmann Institute that gives us a pretty jaw-dropping answer. They had a bunch of different people eat the exact same meal, and then they just watched to see what would happen.
Just look at this. This is crazy. This is the blood sugar response to the very same meal. Person A, barely a blip. Person B, a gigantic spike. This is the proof, right here in front of us. There is no such thing as a universally healthy food. It all comes down to you, the individual.
Okay, so if the old rules are broken, what's the answer? That brings us to our final part here. The solution is to throw away the generic map and start building your own personal blueprint.
And let's be clear, a personal blueprint is not just another diet. Not at all. It's a whole strategy built from the ground up using your data, your blood work, your lifestyle, even your genetics. It creates a plan that you can actually stick with because it was literally designed for how your body works.
So what kind of stuff goes into this blueprint? Well, it's the whole shebang. We're talking deep metabolic blood work. We're looking at your sleep patterns, your stress levels, key hormonal markers, and yeah, of course, the quality of the food you eat. All of these pieces get put together to make that plan that's just for you.
So, I want to leave here with this one last thought to chew on. What if we just changed the goal completely? What if, instead of always chasing a number on a scale, our real goal was to achieve true, deep metabolic health? Because here's the thing, when you focus on that, a healthy weight often just becomes the natural side effect.
I stopped trying to find a doctor who would listen, and I did this instead. For years, I was doing everything right. Eating clean, exercising, getting 8 hours of sleep, but I was still exhausted, I had constant brain fog, and my hormones felt completely out of whack. Every doctor told me my labs were normal, and it was probably just stress. I was about to give up until I found Holistic Health. It's a free AI wellness tool trained by functional medicine experts. I spent 5 minutes answering questions about everything: my symptoms, my sleep, my digestion, and it built me this. And this was the light bulb moment. It didn't just give me a list of problems, it connected the dots. It showed me how my gut health was likely impacting my hormones and how that was causing the fatigue and the brain fog. It even gave me a clear list of potential root causes, supplements to research, and even the specific lab tests to ask for. Its tip is secure, over 77,000 people have used it, and it's 100% free to get your blueprint. If you feel like you're not being heard, start here. Understand your body first and then decide your next step.